Okay, so we're going to be beginning a brand new save here in Farthest Frontier. I have played this game a bunch, as you can see from all this. And I did mention to, just a moment ago, you'll notice it says hell here for... That's... No, was it Dismal Heights? Oh, no, it was Dismal Heights. That's right. Dismal Heights was my super sweaty save. But I understand they have adjusted the difficulty. So, yeah, Vanquisher was the... Oh, Didn't there used to be an entire additional difficulty here? Huh. Interesting. I vaguely remember there being... Maybe I'm just misremembering and mixing up games. But anyways, so those who haven't seen this, this is a survival colony builder, city builder, whatever you want to do. So very Banished-esque, but does expand on that. There is a pacifist mode, so if you don't like RTS stuff, this game does have combat of the RTS form. You can just get rid of it. I made the world bigger because why would I ever make the world smaller in a game that lets me build? Other than the fact that it could murder my hard drive. So you have your different difficulties, and you can actually look at here to see what the actual differences are. Oh, there we go. I wasn't reading the prompt correctly. Yeah, so you got like all these things where you can disable stuff, so if you're like looking for a more simple experience and all that, you've got all this stuff here. Knowledge is your research. You've got like dangerous animals like wolves and boar, and I don't actually see bear listed here, which is interesting that bear is not on this list because they absolutely do kill your people. Like what resources you have available and all that. And so you can do all that. I'm going to leave that custom off because I like achievements. I'm debating going Vanquisher. Vanquisher in this game is actually very genuinely pretty rough. You also have your different maps that have pros and cons. So you've got like your idyllic valley, all around good stuff. You've got your arid highlands, which, if I remember correctly, is very, very short on places to grow things. And not so much in the way of trees. Apparently rich in minerals. Random in this game is... When I say it's a hot mess, the map is perfectly fine, but you will have some runs that you play that it just gives you everything you've ever wanted, and it's super easy. And you'll have some runs you play with random, where it is a raging tire fire with nothing to offer you. Okay. So... here's what we'll do. I'm choosing to not do the harder difficulty because I do know they've adjusted things. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, as the catch to still make sure it's challenging, I am going to go and set this up where we have it on a very hard tile set. There's also advanced settings where you can go in set by set and be like, I want the combat to be easier. And that, yeah, no, this is absolutely all pre-recorded. You know, I just predict within the first 5 minutes. Why is YouTube chat the way it is? Alright, and so now I just need to make a name for our place. So let's go ahead and we'll say... Sandy Pines, I don't know. Alright, so cinematic.
Life can be harsh everywhere, but in the old world, there was no hope of it ever improving. When our crops failed, the ruling class would still collect the same share, leaving our children to starve. And if we had any coin to our name, the taxman would appear, demanding it for the crown. The nobles hid behind the safety of their walls and did nothing when raiders pillaged the outskirts of the city. And so, some of us decided that it was time to leave, that we'd rather take our chances in the wilderness, seeking the promise of a new land, than starve to death in our homeland. The journey wasn't easy. We lost many along the way. But this wild, unsettled land offers us the hope of a new start as the masters of our own destiny.
Yeah, I know that's quiet. That is one thing this game has. is like the title screen's audio is very loud, then the cinematic's very quiet, and then the base game is somewhere in between. This is why you need to have dials for each and every one of those things that you can do while you're going. Pretty much the entire story, just to fill that in, is, hey, they lived in a fiefdom. The people who ruled it were kind of garbage and took their money and their food, and as things got worse, they finally went, to hell with this, we're going to strike out on our own. And they did that. And they said, this is a place for new opportunity to go as we go to Highland Deserts. This is like someone genuinely being like, you know what? I don't like the current administration of where we are. I'm going to go move out into the desert. Look at that. Encoding overloaded as the map loads. So we're going to be a little bit skippy apparently here as the map loads here. And all that stuff. But yeah, no, I do apologize about the cinematic being quiet. The game itself should be fine. But yeah, we'll see how rough this is, because I haven't actually done this tile set. The implication of this tile set is it's going to be rocky. Okay, so things should have settled down. Yeah, no, it's just when it was loading the map, it was overloading the encoder on OBS, which is making it all choppy. We finished scouting the area, surveyed the land. Your villagers have explored and choose a promising site to construct your town center. It's important to choose a location that's near the resources you will need to build a successful settlement. Things like clay, iron ore, and potential food sources. Okay. So, one weird thing is that the game doesn't let you pause while you're doing this. Now, the town center is important. If you lose the town center, it's basically game over. I did get spoiled on one map one time where I was able to build my town center up on a spot like this. And there's been ways to cheese it to get it up there before, which makes it super defensible. We're not going to get that lucky this time. And get pretty high up here, actually. But then the danger is if the enemies come from this side. Yeah, there's not going to be a spot I can build it way up here. That would be very amusing, because there is genuinely a height advantage in the game. When you have archers and all that, they'll get a bit more range and a bit more damage if they're high up in the air. Whereas if I'm shooting up a hill, that's a bad time. I also wonder if we need more firewood from being up there. Where was that spot I saw a ledge up here? So the things we got to watch out for. So we'll have all of these different resources. Oh, that's interesting. They're giving us just a general gauge on everything now. They didn't used to do that. Warning, raider nearby. Yeah, so if I build over here, it says raiders nearby. What am I seeing down there? Oh, it's literally raiders are right there. I'm being highly distracted. So there's also your different overlays. So you can see, like, here's the desirability. We have the water. And we have the fertility. So it's looking like we're going to have really bad fertility, really bad water, and all the ground is really steep. Yeah, this place is going to suck. I'm going to try to make this work. This is probably a mistake. Okay, so we don't have great fertility. We don't have a lot of good resources nearby. All in all, this is a bad starting point for survival early on, but my anticipation is going to be that what we can do here is, trying to remember, I know there's a pause button. There we go. Oh, it was already paused. Yep. So they're going to clear that area. That's going to take a minute. But yeah, so what you end up doing, and there's like a whole tutorial that I think I might have it disabled. This does follow the typical format of survival games like this, or survival city builders, where you end up going and sitting there. Actually, here, let me move my camera real fast. But where what you'll end up doing here is you'd start out with like spring, summer, fall. You try and gather your resources to then hold out through the winter. That's the vertical one. That's not the one I'm looking for. Apparently we lose audio when I click out of the window. There you are. Just shove you. Not sure where to put this. You know what? It's fine. We'll just shove it all the way there in the corner. Okay. Mistake, great content. Yeah, so we gotta build this here. We're gonna need houses, we're gonna need food, we're gonna need a bunch of stuff. You do have where you can harvest stuff. Right now at the beginning, I'm just gonna say, if it's nearby, harvest. But we're gonna need to build stuff. And the game, like I said, there is a tutorial you could walk through that'll work through all of it. I probably should have turned that on. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to do anything until the house is built, or the city center is built. Everything's disabled except for apparently fences. Because they gotta clear the rocks out and all that. Now, one of the cool things that this game lets you do is you can actually terraform the map pretty heavily. So what I can end up doing here is where we got this like ledge here. If I don't want to put like a tower up here oversight, like overlooking to shoot down on enemies, I can flatten that down. It's very, very laborious for my characters. But, you know, when you start getting to mid and late game, it can be worth it. I might end up regretting this because of... Oh, we might have goofed just in the sense that they have to move those rocks, and they might literally die trying to move those rocks. Which is an interesting consideration. Alright, well that's definitely going to start us off on the back foot. We might end up mulliganing this, because I think it's going to take them the better part of a season to move those two rocks. I never had a situation where I tried to put my town center on a resource. Yeah, because they've only removed 2 of that one so far, and 1 from here. And I can build literally nothing else until that's done.
Need something?
Okay, let's restart the map. Alright, lesson chat. Don't build the town center on things that take a long time to remove, like stones, which are literally the slowest. Yeah, it was definitely planned. And certainly not something I did because I greedily wanted to build up on the mountain. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have a raider camp right by where we live at the beginning, which is a little concerning. Okay, now time for the encoder to get overloaded again. Speaking of which, it is getting hot in here, so bear with me for one moment to crank up the AC. Okay. So let's give that just a minute to regenerate the map. All right. So this is where we tried to build last time. It was right there on those rocks. I'm just gonna go and do what actually makes sense so far as our materials, which what we're trying to do is as best we can. There is like not a whole lot of forageable resources. Okay, we're gonna go with this spot near the water. You respect the game that allows you to commit Sudoku on your first and only action. Yep. That's the first time I run into that, because normally you put it down, there's just like a tree in the way and they knock it down in just a minute. But that was a whole wild thing. So yeah, we're gonna go here just like last time. I usually just tell them, hey, if it's a resource nearby, chop it up. Now, one catch with doing that is you'll notice these resources out here in the periphery. Some of those resources, when you clear the forest, will stop existing. They also will come back if you allow the wild forest to take over as well. So we're going to get that built. Now once that's built, we can start getting some houses and trying to get our food sorted. So right now, our people are absolutely unhappy with us because they're homeless, they're hungry, they're tired, you know, the thing. You always wanted to know who was Mulligan and why he stunk at golf. I actually don't know the history of where mulliganing comes from. Like, you know, the, oh, what's the word for, like, the history of a word? There's definitely times I've gone that rabbit hole of looking that stuff up. Yeah, so we got a raider camp over this way we saw when the map was generating. But nearby I've got a sand pit, I've got iron ore, coal, iron, sumac. Iron, sand, coal. Oh, deer. Bird's nest, iron. Fish, bird's nest. Not a lot of, etymology? Yeah, I think that. Yeah. Yeah, so it'll take a minute to get this cut up. Once they do, we can go ahead and get the, get stuff going. So, it's looking like fish are probably going to be one of our first things. Not a lot of opportunity for foraging. So that's going to be rough. Not a huge amount of opportunity for hunting either. We'll need to deal with that. Alright, so we're finally actually building our starting building. And they use the classic model in this game where any workers who are not assigned are the ones who carry stuff from place to place and build. So it is one of those games that if you assign everyone to a task, you will have your entire city kind of shut down because no one's moving the stuff around. Okay, so we got our city center. So we got some stuff we need to do. One thing we're going to need to do is we do require housing. And now I got to remember my controls, the classic of any time you come back to a game and it's been a hot minute. So it was tab. Now, one thing about this game that is a little bit catching you off guard is you do have a lot of situations where you're going to want more space than you realize. Let's see. Provide shelter for how many people? It does not say. I'm going to assume we need 4. Okay, so get those houses built. Storage, we're going to end up needing to unlock a bunch of buildings. So this is going to be our fertile ground down here, if I remember correctly. Fertile being very relative. It's all terrible. So let's put you over there, I guess. And that'll be a storage building, which stores stuff. Straightforward. Right now, we don't get to have any amenities. Food production. We're going to want a hunter's cabin. And I'll hit the wrong button to rotate again. And I'll add a foraging cabin. And a fishing shack. And I probably should not be queuing up this many buildings, one after the other. But, you know. And we're not going to deal with those. We are going to need a well. which I guess I'm going to put a little bit farther over here than I really want to. Because I will... Well, actually, no, let's put it down here. It'd be like right where I'm planning to put the farm. It's fine. It's certified. Yeah, at least there's a prioritization system in this. So if I do, like, overcommit, I could be like, yeah, but that building's a higher priority, do that one first. And then roads, defense, decoration. Okay, so we've just queued up to build an entire base city. I honestly don't care what they prioritize on right now. I need all of it. And all of it's going to make them sad or die. So, you know, that is what it is. Now, one thing that's a little confusing to a lot of people in the way the food works in this is this number up here isn't how much food I have in storage. It's how many months of food I have in storage. So instead of saying you have 10 units of food and each person eats one a month, well, you've got 5. So, you know, you mark it with 10, it says you have 2 months of food, that kind of thing. So it's helpful. And then the red over here is basically, you know, how much of that's going to rot. You know, when it's going to rot, kind of thing. And you can go and dig into a lot of stuff. Like, you have your production reports and all that. So if you want to... Predators are attacking, so we've got over here, we got a wolf attacking.
Okay, then.
You can start running my people away for a minute.
Yes.
Everyone else get on
okay,
that.
Then.
Neladin,
Done.
you keep running.
All right.
Keep running.
Done.
Alright, turn around to get in there. Well, we got our first meet. Oh, was there Twitch integration? Why do I feel like there was? Oh yeah, you can limit... I may be misremembering. It's fine. Villagers come and go. I'm not going to name them all one by one. A lot of games, if they have the built-in Twitch integration where it just gives them people or whatever, like you could just pre-assign names, I'll gladly turn it on. Otherwise, the characters have to have a decent, like, length survival. Okay, so it's 4 per house. So I did need to have at least 4 houses. But, you know, games like, for example, Timberborn I really enjoy, but I don't like naming the beavers in Timberborn because they die way too fast from old age. So it just becomes a cycle of renaming people again and again, so there's all that. You do remember it being in this game? I mean, it'd be controls or interface, and I'm not seeing it here. So if it is in this game, I don't know where it is. I'm not worried about it. Maybe a mod? I'd be surprised if it's a mod, but, I mean, it could be. It's hard to tell. There's been a lot of games in the genre, and so it's very easy for me to forget which ones have what. Yep, so we're getting our early houses built, and they're complaining about not having firewood. Needless to say, we don't have 90% of the buildings, so of course we don't have firewood. We're basically using our supplies as fast as they arrive. Now, ideally, I want to get the basic stuff for food set up and housing and all that. And then pretty early on, I'll want to make a farm happen. It is a mod? Gotcha. Yeah, then I won't worry about it. It's cool that it exists, but generally speaking, I try not to grab that many mods. I've just had way too often mods like crash stuff or have side effects and all that. So if it is a mod, I usually stick to quality of life, that kind of things. And even then, I use them very sparingly. Not never, but pretty sparingly. Alright, so the houses are getting done. You'll tell them to just keep cleaning up trees and all that around here. We know there's a raider camp over there just because when we started the game we could see it. A lot of times when they move around you won't see them that easily. So, kinda lucky, kinda helpful. We're not going to be able to take on a raider camp for a little while. More people wish to visit your settlement. More people await word to join our settlement. Amass a 4-month supply of food and 6 houses. Maintaining a significant food supply will help attract more people to your town. And that's kind of a way for it to gently be like, hey, here's what you should be working on. Alright. So the houses are done for our current citizens. And then these are going to be things that give us food and all that. Now, another way this game works is you see we have the hunting cabin here. And there's this big ring. It isn't one of those games that, like, the position of your buildings is useful, but not as critical as you'd imagine. You're more concerned about the pathing to and from. As you go along, you'll end up knocking down the deer in the area, and you'll have to go seeking them out other places. I can move that circle without moving the building. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll want to go over here where you can get those 2 deer, and I don't think the eggs count as part of it, and that'll give me at least some food. Okay, they're about to get the well done. And as I mentioned before, eventually we'll start chasing the deer off and all that as we clear the land, populate, and hunt them. Your town is already 2 months old and we've got no new food. Okay, so we've got our hunter. What we can do is I can move this around. If you look at the bottom, it'll have a gauge of what I can find in the area. So literally, it's all pretty much rubbish until we go to this side, and then way over here there's a bunch. But I've also got some really good right here by where we're at. So I'm going to go ahead and put that circle right there. And so that hunter will start working on their stuff. But you do start with some bows and arrows. Later on, I'll have to make my own or trade for them. We did get a storage building made, which does give us the ability to make a saw pit. And as you probably noticed with the saw pit, when I move it over here, it makes the houses less desirable. A lot of industry, that is how it works in the game. Okay, now I got the foraging place. So we got berries down there. Berries and eggs over here. Alright, so put it down here. So I can get the berries and the eggs. And then once we get all that built, we'll start getting the next thing going. Okay, and fishing person. Which, we only get okay fishing from here. But considering it's the only water in the entire area, it's what we're doing. So while they build that, we got the saw area good. Go down here, 1, 2, 1, 2. So put a sawmill down there. Because then we'll start putting our industry on this side. Okay. Says you're cooking. Yeah, because you don't have a supply of logs yet. Because we're using the wood as fast as we're getting it. Alright. So then we can go to our storage here. So we've got a storehouse for more items. And we got a cellar, which keeps our food going longer. Food production-wise, I can make a smokehouse that'll cost me wood and make our food last longer. We're not quite ready for that yet. What I will probably do... And there's going to be a whole thing because the ground here all sucks. Every last bit of it. We're just going to have to terraform. I believe we can make the soil gradually better in an area. It's going to be so hard to set up a proper farm. Okay, so we're planning to have more housing down here to take advantage of the well and all that. I guess our farmland's going to go over here. Yeah, so it's pretty bad soil. But we'll go ahead and start that field. Because even a bad farm is better than no farm. I believe we can check our laborers and what we have. Let's see. Trying to see, there was a screen here. Yeah, so you got 7 free laborers. It'll actually warn you when you're low on laborers. Like people who are not assigned. Okay, so we've got our firewood sorted. We got a bunch of our stuff sorted. Oh, you're gonna have to clear rocks for that, aren't you? That's fine. I'm looking at it as a long-term project anyways. We got the saw pit making logs. You can also upgrade your building, so once we get enough logs and all that, we can upgrade that. I guess in the meantime, we can go to storage here. We can grab a root cellar. And I'll hit the wrong button yet again to put it down. And a root cellar just lets you put food in it to keep it, you know, good longer. Now get the large storage building. Because that can be very useful for stuff as well. We're building pretty aggressively. Now the good news is I do have a lot more food stored now. I've got 6 months of food, 5 of which will rot in the next year. Which is fine because we're going to eat every last bit of it. Okay, smokehouse does make the property less desirable. So put that down there. And pretty soon we're going to hit the point of not having enough workers to keep up. At which point I'll need to pause the expansion for a little bit. But our people are happy right now. Because we are meeting their basic needs. They have homes, all that stuff. We haven't promised for more people to move in. We will get that queued up. And put one here and one there. Okay. Meanwhile, okay, you still got a bunch of stuff queued up to clear everything. We will get it later on where we can target what we want them to, like, replant and all that to rebuild the forests. But right now we're in the, I need all the resources, I will remove it all. Oh, good. Drought. Doesn't really matter because it only hurts my crops, and considering I don't have a field yet, not a big concern. Oh, it's interesting that those are prioritized. Let's deprioritize these ones and have them work on the other projects. because we're definitely not going to get that farm done for this winter. So we're just going to keep them working on all the other things, and then hopefully they can circle back to that. Meanwhile, let's knock that down to just one person working at the sawmill, so that way we are making planks. But hopefully letting our wood keep up a bit more. We could also go over here. Where was the prioritization thing? I'm surprised, honestly. Honestly, disable that construction for right now. Just forget about it entirely. And work on the other things. That way, keep that wood coming in, because I'm digging too deep on the wood. We're not going to have the firewood I need if we don't keep up with it. Knowledge generated. Okay. So as we accomplish things, we get knowledge. So we can get more resources per foraged. We can make it so we smoke meat more efficiently. That fish replenish faster. We reduce the rate we hit the stuff isn't as bad. Taxes collected higher. Reduced chance of spreading disease. Knowledge generation faster. Defenses, combat ability of villagers, better lookout towers, better production, better mining. I think for this one, I'm going to go with the classic of invest our early research to make research faster, because the earlier you get that done, the more it adds up in the long run. Just dealing with moderation things, don't mind me. Well, they're still just going for it. It's fine. We've got firewood set aside now. Oh, we can also set caps on these things, that's right. Where was I? Was it over here? There was somewhere here where I could go in and I could tell them, hey, once you hit a certain amount, stop making this until... Yeah, I think it was here. So, we can add a limit. I don't know what is an appropriate limit for us right now. Let's say 200. That's probably more than I need. But the reason you want to set that early on is if I start producing tons and tons of firewood or whatever, instead of just going till our storage is completely maxed out, it'll unassign the person from working on that and let them do something else for a while. It's that can be very, very important for maintaining a lot of stuff to keep that all handled. I believe, though, you can actually make your farmland better and better over time by just continuously processing it and all that. And so even bad soil you can eventually make good, if I remember correctly. It's just, again, another one of those things that is extremely laborious. Well, the good news is I'll be good on stone for a while. Because, yeah, it looks like we're going to have lots and lots of stone, which is good for a lot of purposes. I guess in the meantime, while we're waiting for them to do that... Oh, you know what? Don't do it that way. Where was our delete tool? Okay. Let's go out one. Alright. So let them start building those roads. They don't have a material cost, it's a labor cost. But it'll help people move around a little bit faster. So look at that. Cool, Darth. You have fun with your unreasonable number of mod situation you like to do. You know that's not my thing. Which it's fine. I'm glad you enjoy it. Okay, so we've technically hit winter, so at this point they're not going to work on the farm anymore. So needless to say, not amazing. But you can't work the land for the farm in the winter in any capacity, so I'll just stay the way it is. But that means meanwhile I can work on the other thing. During the winter you get less work done in general. Just your people don't stay out as long because it's cold and all that. We get our first block going down there. Plan to build more houses down here. Okay. Let's also go to our plank production. Do the same thing we did with the other one. So we'll cap it out, say don't make more than 200, like just in storage at a time. The stone and brick and everything else we don't care about right now. But that way, again, once we hit a certain capacity, they'll stop processing the logs into other materials so that we just have the logs for whatever we need them for. Because we are going to end up doing a lot of construction. It would be good if we can get up to, like, stone walls and all that fairly early, because I'm looking at potentially having a pretty significant abundance of stone on this map, which I'm not used to. I'm used to other maps where trees aren't that big a deal, but stone is just something I'm always struggling with. You know, you just get all the stone nearby on your nearby hilltop or mountain or whatever, and then there's just none left nearby, so you got to start worrying about quarrying or whatever. Okay, and the lake froze over, so the fishing isn't happening. The deer should still be around, so we still will be getting a little bit of food from the deer. Okay. We're also getting the eggs still. Hey, Elfie Bean, thank you so much for the raid. Can we get a, Oh, I was so confused with the first message being blind. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, but can we get a shout out for Elfie Bean, by the way? Another fantastic content creator on the platform. And what were you playing today? I'm going to quickly do that right now. Elfie Bean. Playing some. My preview's too small for me to actually read the game. The Wandering Village. Nice. The Wandering Village is an absolutely fantastic game. I hope you had a lot of fun with that. But welcome in, Raiders. I do hope you had yourself a good stream and all that good stuff with the Wandering Village, and I'd hope you took good care of Ambu, and certainly didn't commit sacrifice. But again, so if you're looking for that kind of stuff, you can find that over there. And also, it's good to see you as well, Blind. And thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Ooh, I'm not following you. Let's fix that real fast. Sniped Elfie at the end of their stream and then followed along. Ah, gotcha. I've done that one plenty of times. Where you raid out to someone, they're like, no, wait, I'm literally leaving. No problem, Blind. You have a good one. You haven't played since it hit 1.0 yet? Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, we played, I think it's right when it hit 1.0. I had a good time with it and all that stuff. Which is really good. Thank you for all those files. I really do appreciate it. And then for those who did come over from Blind IRL's stream as well, you're probably familiar with us over here already because, you know, stream team and all that stuff. But for those who don't know, Blind, also fantastic. Does like a lot of Dwarf Fortress, all that good stuff. Mean to get back into this as well? Yeah, no, this one's fun. I'm curious of how the difficult... Oh, I accidentally paused. Did I pause? No, now we're not paused. It's just we're in the middle of the night. But yeah, I'm curious how the difficulty is different, because I played is like version 0.98 or whatever right before it released. And I did that off stream on Vanquisher, which is the hardest difficulty. And it took some prep and all that, but it really wasn't that bad. And how is my food just vanishing? Oh, it's the food is already spoiling because I didn't have the cellar done. Okay, that's real bad, actually. Hopefully our hunter brings in some more meat, because our food is all rotting. But, so I played on, like, the super sweaty difficulty, and it certainly had its challenges, but was pretty manageable. And then I saw Belnar playing on the normal difficulty, and his archers were definitely getting chunked way harder than my archers were on the hardest difficulty. But, you know, that's 1.0, so I think they may have done some tuning there, which is a little scary, because some of those fights got rough. Well, now that the winter is getting close to being done, I've got my root cellar so we can preserve food. You know, after I need the food stored, it's fine. The good news is we're into spring now again, so we can start doing that. Yeah, so this is one of the negatives about doing this, is I made this farm as large as we can. That is going to be a thing that's going to make it so that farm is probably not even going to produce stuff this year for me. Meanwhile, we'll prioritize these two houses. And the storehouse. And the smokehouse. And leave that as a lower priority. This game makes you think of Goblin Camp, so you're very curious. Probably predates it. Yeah, no, this, if you ever played the game Banished... Are you gonna let that deer show you up? If you ever played the game Banished, it's like, what if we made Banished now? Okay, we did get another knowledge point. So... let's do fish replenishment, because fish is going to be one of my things I'm going to deal with here short term, and we don't have a lot of that available. Yeah, so we're going to work really hard on getting that farm online. I'm not going to allocate all of the people I need to work the farm, just a couple. Let's check on our labor chart. Ah. There is our problem. So we need to take off auto refill. I don't want that many people working the farm right now. But at maximum builders are 4. And so we basically told it, while this farm can accept 8 people, I don't have the spare labor, so we're only going to put 2 on it, so that way it's at least getting worked a little bit, while everyone else is going to keep trying to get everything else done around here. Because that farm's not going to be doing anything for us on a meaningful capacity for likely a couple of in-game years. Because if you didn't check the fertility chart we had here, it's bad. It's all just garbage. Like, I got this one spot I was building the houses because the only place I get water was my only soil that wasn't garbage. So we're basically trying to grow a farm in a rocky desert. We'll eventually get there. But it's eventually. Are we in Alpine? We are on the Desert Highlands. Or whatever they call them. So everything's very sandy. It's very highlands. It's the hardest tile by environmental standards. We are on only the medium default difficulty. As I was saying, I did the hardest difficulty off stream, and it went relatively well with some prep. But I'm led to believe they massively overhauled the combat and the numbers in it, which is fine. But I'm a little scared of getting absolutely demolished on the first attempt, which isn't a problem, except I do have a sponsored segment going on later today. We're going to be checking out Space Chef. And I don't want to get into that awkward situation where, you know, I'm supposed to do that in like 4-ish hours, and like 3 hours in the settlement dies, and we're in that weird place where there's not enough time to start a new one, but also, you know, a bit earlier. It would be fine. I just switched to Space Chef earlier, but I'd rather just not deal with it. Alright, we're still on 2x. Yeah, so this one poor person is trying to do this entire farm themselves. So, you know, good old Fargus here is individually responsible for clearing a number of acres by themselves with stone tools. You're welcome. Well, I guess there's 2 of them. Okay. You never really looked at the arid highlands? I'm sure Fargus will figure that out. I feel like the figuring it out part isn't the problem. It's the dying of old age before the job is done problem. It's always also nice when we have a raid and I actually recognize a lot of the people come across. It's usually, that's one of the reasons why it's like, oh, I need to be following this person back. When you see like, of the people who raid over, you see like 5, 6, 7, 8 names that are all familiar, like, okay, I see. They're my people. I understand. How much could clearing a farmland be? 500 labor? You're missing a 0 on there, but sure. It's probably fine. Considering building a house is like 20 or 30 or something like that. It's just a casual 5,112. The good news is you do it once, and it's there. It's a little social treat seeing the homies roll in with a raid. Yeah. No, it's always fun when you get to meet new people through, you know, similar circles and all that. Okay, so when you get one more house built, we'll get more people. And that'll give me more people I can allocate to jobs. But we're going to be dependent on stuff like the fish and the hunting the deer and what little foraging we can do. It's pretty dire, actually. Until the farm is up and running. That's going to hurt us pretty bad. But that farm is also going to just take a long time to get up and running. Normally what I'll do is I'll try and get like 3-4 farm fields going at once. And I'll have 2 of them just kind of in the work on making them functional, while the other one, even at its absolutely horrifically bad production, will actually produce food in the short term. Right now, I feel like that's going to be a whole thing. Let's see, Elvia is also a mod for Blind for a while. Made some emotes for the hot... Gotcha! I know, it's like, the name looked very familiar. I just couldn't really think of where I had seen it. Was it with... It's just weird. Like, normally, like, YouTube chat is YouTube chat. But it's been weirdly, like, the last couple of days, every single message coming is, hi, said hi. This looks pre-recorded. And it's just been this weird thing where it's like people saying the exact same things again and again. I'm like, man, is this some like new bot? YouTube's weird, man. Which, for the record, I stream primarily on Twitch. I do have the YouTube. It's mostly so I have the VODs for later. One or two of the Telenarthos, too, right? Telenarthos. Or also have people pop in who they'll drop in, they'll have you attempt to say something that is wildly inappropriate, but it's one of those things that like it looks like an innocuous comment. It's like, hey, do you know insert name? But when you say the name, the pronunciation sounds like something really bad. No, you're all good. I just don't know what Telenarthos is. Okay. So we're getting the storage building done, we're getting our second house, or sixth house over here done, and the smokehouse. That'll be another cost for our firewood. Otherwise, the rest of them are just cutting down the trees and the rocks pretty much all around us. Oh, gotcha. Another content creator, no problem. Gotcha. Just another person, like, sharing circles with. Cool, fair enough. Yeah, so as you can see, I got, like, sand all around us. That's gonna be a whole thing. Yeah, no, it's generally not a good idea to use your real name on just about anything online that you aren't strictly required to do so and need to. Like, regardless of, like, company or government or anything, it's good to keep that separation. Your goal is to give an emote to every streamer who regularly streams Dwarf Fortress. Encourage people to collect them all, you know? That's cool. Neat. He was in the Hot Potato last year. Usually does a lot of writing novel on stream. Oh, interesting. I don't think I've ever heard anyone, like, writing books on stream. That'd be an interesting one to, like, see how that process actually works. Alright. So we can make a market. And we just got some knowledge. So check on the knowledge. So, we got the fish production. So we're probably going to need to lean into feed a farmer's field work. We'll get that. We're probably going to lean in on the farm stuff to try and get our food stabilized. Good co-working vibes? Gotcha. And we're still collecting the logs, that's fine. So resource-wise, we unlocked a bunch of stuff. We got the tannery, the cobbler shop, the Fletcher shop, the basket shop, compost. We're not going to be able to do a lot with a lot of these for a little bit here. We could do the Fletcher. That's going to be important for our hunters to be able to keep doing stuff. Can you expect more Ball X Pit on stream? I don't know. When it comes to streaming a lot of those, like, very addictive roguelite, games, a lot of those, I always kind of find a little tricky in how I want to fit them in. They're great for when, you know, I'm doing streams and all that, and, you know, I finish a game and I've got, you know, an hour or two or whatever left over that I'm not sure what I want to do with, kind of thing. I find they work really good in those use cases. Go and put the market there, because then I can hop in, play a little, and hop back out. I do find, and maybe it's for me on the viewer perspective, I do find watching other people play games like that, it's not... So roguelite is fine, but those ones where it's just like, you know, Vampire Survivors, like that kind of one, watching others play that, those don't really stick for me as well. that I don't tend to watch them that much. So I'm not gonna say it's a no, but I feel like that's those ones I'm not gonna plan for it kind of thing, so much as if whatever I'm playing I cannot play it for some reason, or we finish what we're doing, I got 2-3 hours left to stream. That feels like the exact kind of point I would break out something like Ball Pit or whatever. Because that's enough time to do it a good couple rounds and all that, have a good time with it. Or if I'm just super in the mood for it. For the record, like, I think the game is amazing. Like, I definitely, like, after stream I started a second save file so I could play it off stream and enjoy it. I also feel like a lot of those games, you know, Ball Pit, Mega Bonk, Vampire Survivors, was it Clover Pit? Those are really fun games, but they're kind of games that are there for the moment. You play it, you enjoy it, and then kind of the internet collectively moves on. And it's not that the game, there's anything wrong with it. Just, you know, it's done its thing. Like, Vampire Survivors has had some absurd number of updates over the years. But, you know, no one's streaming that anymore. People aren't seeking it out to watch it either. Same with, like, Balatro. Balatro's in that same camp. Really amazing game. But it's kind of more something you play in your own time. It's good to stream when people are checking out, because, like, it's doing numbers. Like, don't get me wrong, the Ball Pit, I mean. Like, it's certainly doing numbers. Same with Mega Bonk. But, I don't know. It's that style of game has always been a weird one for me on the streaming side, that I enjoy checking them out. You had fun watching Ball Pit? Yeah. No, like I said, I'm not against playing it more. I very much enjoyed it. I would play it more. You have, like, friend circles moving on, and then you are well on your own? Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely, Lardy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Those games are still getting updated. People still play them. It's just, you know, people, whether or not they're seeking out the content anymore. We are not getting food nearly fast enough. And I don't think I have much more options for food beyond just what if build more. I'm gonna try building a second foraging shack. The Ball Pit seems neat, but you don't get a chance to see it very much while it was the new hotness. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still pulling, like, people are watching, or people playing lots of it still. Let's see. Here's to also status quo of play a game until satisfied. Usually that's a pretty good amount of a game. Then never seeing it again. Yeah, for me, usually a lot of times what I'll end up doing for a game is there's some games I'll keep coming back to. Games that you can kind of keep playing again and again and again, like the RimWorlds and that out there. A lot of other games, like the Planet Crafter, for example, I'll get my hands on it, I will binge it, and then exhaust the story, and then, yeah, it goes away until, like, some giant update makes more stuff. And that's pretty standard. I'm getting pretty worried about our food situation here. That's fine. We still got free laborers. I put 2 more on the farm work. Okay. So let's have you go someplace else so you can get 2... Oh, where was that? Okay, so you go over there. So we got ourselves a second forager to try to supplement our food. And it's warning me we're getting low on laborers. Let's just hang tight for a minute here. Okay, we got more knowledge. So let's go and make it so our crops don't hurt the sustainability as much. Because that's going to be my long-term investment, is going to be on the growing stuff. Now, granted, we're committing to the long term when we're not sure how the short term is going to go. Okay, and how are we doing in laborers? So we got 3 laborers and no builders doing anything right now. That's fine. So we got a ton of stuff queued up for harvesting and clearing and all that. Impending blizzard. Cool. I hate it. We got an excavation site. I can't do anything with that yet, but when we get like the I think it's a church or something later, or a cathedral, I don't remember which one it is. We have exhausted the first of the deer. We got our second set of deer over there. SimCity for the SNES is an emotional roller coaster you needed in 7 years old. Yeah, no, it's sad what happened with the SimCity series, that like it just kind of never came back. All right, so do you automatically unassign the farmers? No. So for right now, the farmers can't work. So let's go on here and unassign them to make them all laborers again. I'll leave one there so I can see them run back when I need them. Okay, so what we can do in the meantime, because we're kind of waiting on building stuff, is we can go here. We're going to flatten this terrain out a little bit more because we couldn't build in there because of the steep. So while it's winter and our people don't have a bunch of other stuff to do, we'll assign a couple of workers to work on that, a couple laborers to run around and get wood. Actually, let's knock the laborers down by 2. Sorry, the workers down by 2. Keep those laborers getting trees cut down and all that. Stone collected. But that's where I mentioned you can do a lot of like terraforming in the game, as far as the terrain goes. We can actually go through and gradually like level out the ground, make it easier to build on, that kind of thing. It's just very labor intensive. But we got nothing better for them to do during the winter. They can go out and they can dig dirt and move it from one side of a building to another for long hours. Frozen dirt at that, exactly. Okay. It's a big thing to try and get this next year, is get this field at least doing something. Even if doing it at a horrifically slow pace, that's fine. Alright, so we got the foraging, we have the tax generation. We're not as worried about disease or combat or anything yet. And honestly, I'm not worried about the stone. Use planks faster. So I can make it so they fell the trees quicker. But I think right now we're just going to lean on the food. So let's go ahead and have our foragers get just a bit more food for us. You know, keep building that up. Because we currently have 2 months worth of food till we exhaust our supplies. Now I am noticing there is no clay anywhere nearby, which will hurt us, but we are choosing a tough tile, and that is just going to be the way it is. Okay. So what I might try and do is you have crop rotations. Some crops will give you a little bit of fertility in your soil, others will take it away. What we might actually do is try to aim to do a lot of the crop being the stuff that gives us tiny bits of soil fertility and then clean up the field in between harvests and all that. It'll be a very slow boat to improve the soil there, but that's fine. In the meantime, we will then get a second farm going, and then one of the farms we could aggressively go on, like, just improving to make it good in the long run. While short term, it'll be just terrible. Like, it'll be not producing terrible, but at least it'll bring some food in. Okay, we're down to 1 month worth of food left. Okay. So you're contemplating and you're butchering meat. This game is aesthetically beautiful? Oh yeah. And you get pretty far in there. No, actually,
Hello there.
you're building. Oh, right, you're leveling the terrain. It looked like he was digging the road. I'm like, what are you doing? That's fair. They made Camera Plus, you know, base game. Wait, wrong game. Yeah. Games like RimWorld is like, why can I not bring my camera closer than this? I'm trying to see what I'm doing. Deep iron deposit. Okay. We are slowly getting our planks. Oh, we can probably put... Nah, we'll leave it the way it is. We'll leave it as a slow burn on the planks. Production halted. This building's production is full. Ah, right, because we hit our 200 firewood, so they'll stop making firewood for now. Okay. So, let's check on our labor distribution. Get more farmers going. Because we want to get that field online. Because even if it's producing garbage amounts of food is better than not producing food at all. A raider camp has attacked one of my villagers.
Aye. Okay then.
So let's get you out of there. Yeah, so you can't go quite that far over. See if there's someplace else I can have you go. I guess I just need to have them not go out all the way for those eggs. As much as I'd like them to. The good news is she only took one hit and then backed off. The bad news is, realistically, I can't do anything about that till we start having a military. Which is not going to be happening particularly soon.
What needs doing?
Alright, so I leveled this train out a little bit. They're working on the other one. Another thing you can do is set exploration points. And what these are is if you have someone who's not busy, with other things, laborer-wise. They will go to explore. You can either kind of explore the extremities. Now, the danger is they could run into wolves or bears or whatever, and that's bad for people. But we could use that to try and scout out a little bit farther around us. That said, I don't think I have the free people to do it, so it's probably not going to get done in any reasonable capacity. Okay, so you got only 2 people free doing labor. You're about to finish that. We should be at 4 months. This objective should get done soon. Yeah, so just a tiny bit more food, and then we should get a couple more labor, or a couple more people move into town. And that'll free up more people to work. And more mouths to feed, which we're not ready for. But while we're not strictly on a time limit, it is a thing that you will start to get more and more raids hitting your place. It's not like RimWorld where the game endlessly escalates to meet you, but it does have an escalation that does occur over time. I believe it's primarily based on, like, your progression in the game, but I don't know that for a fact. What is this game? This would be Farthest Frontier, is the name of the game. Okay, so we flattened that terrain. We've got 4 laborers running around. Oh, I think that's new villagers arriving. And we got a building on fire, so 7 people have arrived who'd like to move in. I will accept them. Please immediately start putting out that fire. Fires, it's plural now. Fires, it's more. Okay, the first house has been saved. It's damaged, but saved. The market's been saved. They're getting the last house, because luckily it got right here. That is an unfortunate amount of fire. Yes. Impending heat wave. So are people just going to need more water and all that? Okay, so now I get a bunch of laborers, so we're going to go ahead and assign a bunch more to here. I will add a second onto the saw pit. That puts us down to 4 laborers to spare. So already all laborers have been effectively assigned to things. A bustling market would help generate gold and attract new settlers for our growing town. Markets stock houses and generate gold based on the number of houses on their work area. It's right here. I already got one. Okay, so we got the market. We're not ready for the cemetery yet. I don't have the gold for a shrine. We already have our storage done. It would be good to get a lookout tower, but I'm not quite there yet. So we're kind of just chilling here for the moment. I just really got to get this field online. We did put everyone we can on it for right now. And once they get that sorted, we can get them growing at least something. And then we'll get the second field going. Because one thing that the game does throw you for is it lets you assign, say, 8 here. Realistically, they're not all going to have stuff to do once you get past the beginning. So you actually can have just a handful of farmers work a bunch of fields. Okay, so we've got our first field. And for this... Ooh, okay. Those weren't blocked behind the trek tree before. Alright, so if we look at this, you can't actually see because I'm in the way. You'll see where it says impacts on fertility. So some things will actually give me fertility to the soil, and some things will take it away. Most of the crops you want will take it away. But in this particular case, we're just going to do what we can. So go ahead and move those two here. And for right now, we're not going to actually be able to sustain this. Eventually that soil will get diseased with stuff that'll hurt these plants. Should you address weeds first? I probably should, but right now I need literally any food we can make happen. So what I was hoping to do is find... You know what we could probably do actually here? So for the next season, we can have labor do this, and to do 2 rounds of this. So this is not realistically going to be a sustainable thing I'm doing right now. But the first one, we're just going to see what we can make happen. But yeah, no, the weeds need to get knocked down, the rockiness needs to get knocked down, the fertility needs to go up. But I need literally just any food we can make happen at all. Because we're like riding that fence of death. So it's kind of a juggle. Do I invest in tomorrow food or today food? Okay. And we got more knowledge. So keep having them get better at the foraging, because that's kind of keeping us afloat in the meantime. That's not what you want to see. The bird's nest is literally going there. There is hunters. So I do have some deer over here, but the deer population is not very good. So gonna make do what we can. But yeah, we're gonna lose a good chunk of the crop here. So they're going to try their best to plant and harvest as much as they can. We'll have other people working and getting that second farm up and running, which is going to take a while because of all the boulders in the way. Hopefully we can get to the stone structures relatively soon, because those will come in handy. Okay, and how are you doing? So you need 60 planks and 30 people. Alright. 7 people would like to move in. This is how we're going to have a bunch of people die here, because that is growing faster than I probably reasonably can get away with. But am I going to do it anyways? Yes, I am. Alright, so we need to go here and start clearing up room for another block. So I gotta level out the ground a bit better. So I'm gonna be splitting my labor around now. Do you have anyone fishing? Yes, I have one person fishing, but again, it's kind of the problem of it's a teeny tiny little lake. And good old Gabria here is doing her best. We're playing on the arid highlands, by the way, and that's the reason why food is so rough. So the fish are not exactly plentiful, the deer aren't plentiful, the foraging isn't plentiful, the soil sucks. That's the reason why food is a bit of a headache. And that's why we're trying to just get our initial farm to do anything, while we get a second farm to start fixing the second farm. Yeah, so we're estimating honestly, all things considered, that yield could be worse. Now, realistically, we're not doing this anytime soon. But yeah, because that field could be for the beans. So I'm not going to have clay anytime soon, but if we do get clay, I can amend that field to make it more suitable. That said, we are getting a partial harvest, so we are getting like 500 beans. So that should help. And meanwhile, half the town is just smashing rocks. Oh my god, it's 195 stone in that thing. Alright. Let's maybe reconsider. Okay. Actually, I don't think it's going to matter either way. It's not going to matter either way. Pause construction on that one, and just focus on this one. It's going to take him a hot minute, but that is what it is. I don't, like, because over here, you can't see it very well. I've got a raider camp right there, and I believe there's another one over here too. So I can't really grow this way. And on top of that, if I grow too much, I'll actually get rid of the deer. But that's fine. And I'm sure back here somewhere will be wolves or bears or other raiders or something else awful. But yeah. Does the center trees help ground retain water in this game? But it can help to build up your groundwater. You know that trees can help groundwater retain this game. Do the trees actually help retain groundwater in the game? I honestly have not messed with that at any point to really know one or the other. I'm not aware of a way to build up, like, make the lake bigger or anything like that, if that's what you're asking. Because I don't know how you'd even do that in the technology time we're dealing with here. Go to the next nearest lake, get a bucket, walk it over, dump it out, and just keep repeating. Alright. Yeah, so the idea, yeah, and that's good. So we got 9 months of food now. So this field will work for us. And then we'll just slowly fix up the stoniness and the weeds over the next couple of ones. I'm sure I'll have to do some mixing here and there, and eventually it'll get where we need it. But like right now, the fertility on the soil is utterly abysmal. It'll work out. They mean that trees help groundwater stat in the overlay, though the wells are more productive. You've had mixed results with it personally. Gotcha. Yeah, no, I hadn't super noticed it, because usually you ultimately want the groundwater level. If you clear cut, the wells will get worse. You're pretty sure it is in the game? It could be, but it's kind of one of those things that you need the wells near your houses, and your houses by their nature require you to clear the trees around them. It could very well be that we'd want to plant trees around here, and I believe they did even add that under decorations, that you can now plant trees. So that is probably something you do. It's interesting that trees have no impact on desirability, which is not really how it works in real life. So you get a bunch of little bushes that help with desirability. Maybe I'll lean on doing the bushes. The thing you've seen done is exactly that. Leave 1 tile wide space around the well and plant trees in the space around the well. Makes sense to like have like a little area of trees on this side to shade the well. I mean, a lot of wells are in shaded places in real life as is for a whole mess of reasons. Yeah, but that farm is starting to give us enough food that we're not really in a dire situation. Okay, so we're slowly trying to lower that down so we can get more houses in here, because we're dealing with some pretty rough terrain. And you can't build buildings if the hills are too steep. Cool, we have a drought again. There's also a thing, for those who don't know, if you build your wells too close to each other, they'll penalize each other. We got new babies being born. Go and bump that back up to 4 laborers, or 4 builders. It's nice to have some leeway to make it optically as you like. I guess impacting desirability by type of tree or bush would have little too challenging for average players, fiddly. Well, you do have like where you got to make the area nice. My comment was more along the lines when we look at this is a lot of times to get your values up to get the better residents, you have to build all these paths and everything. Being able to like plunk down a tree next to it, I think should give the desirability a little bit better. Also, your it was many patches ago. Yeah, no, that's the last version, not this one, 0.98 or whatever it was. I did Vanquisher mode, and I understand. Cool. I understand they retooled a bunch of the combat stuff. So where I was doing perfectly fine in Vanquisher mode, I've heard a lot of people being like, "Oh man, it's so hard now," and it's like, okay. And I saw Belnar playing, and his archers were getting chunked for a third of their health, or crossbowmen, I think it was getting chunked by a third of their health from just getting pegged by an arrow or two, which was way more damage than I remember experiencing. And he was only on normal difficulty, so I was like, maybe we'll start on the normal difficulty and see how it is now before we jump into the deep end of the pool. Okay, so we're leveling out the terrain. We also got the ability to upgrade our town hall. So get that going. Eventually we'll want the forestry thing. That does make me curious with the forestry thing. If you set up to plant trees but not cut them, if we could just have them plant trees just all over town wherever there's spaces. Again, the downside is because trees don't give you desirability. It's kind of, you can have the decorations to make your houses nicer, or that maybe it's an invalid thing or an oversight. I'd guess probably more of an oversight. Because, like, whether if I have to spend gold to put down the trees, and I have to spend gold to put down the decorations, I don't really feel there's an appreciable difference between the two, as far as the impact goes and whatnot. Okay, so it does look like the weed level is going down, apparently. Okay, and then once they're done getting the harvest, we'll unassign all of the farmers. That way, during the winter, they can help cut down the trees and all that. That is kind of one thing I wish did happen, is when there was nothing eligible for the farmers to do, that they would unassign automatically so you wouldn't have to worry about it. Oh, you're not keeping up anymore? The second person splitting wood. I have no idea what RS3 is, so I do know the answer is no, but I also don't know the actual question. Okay. So our forges will be a little bit better. What is this? Farthest Frontier. If you're ever curious, it does list the category game on the bottom of the channel. Whether you're on mobile, desktop, or whatever. Tier 2 achieved. Knowledge gained. Alright, so animal husbandry. We can get tree regrowth rate to be higher. Okay, we can get the work camp up to a forestry, which we'll probably want to do. We can yield, we can have compost, wagons carry more, paper press, nursing and all that. We can increase the research speed at the academy. We don't have that. Work area effectiveness of rat catchers as much. Fill rate of wells we can make better. That will probably end up needing in the long run. Construction speed I don't really care about. Spindle work, foraging. Unlocking mines is not a bad one. That's the production labor. Okay, so I think we're going to lean in on the food side still. So we could increase the disease resistance of our crops. I am going to... Do we have a Steam command? Yes. If you do exclamation mark Steam, it'll show whatever the current game, it'll give the US price. Yeah, we'll set this up. We'll make the foragers better. Alright, so with that, we got a bunch of upgrades and all that. So I can now do a trading post, a school, a festival, a rat catcher, a temple. All of those are good things. The houses we can't do much with. We have the bakery and the arborist. Yeah, so the arborist will let me do an orchard. Oh, I'm sorry, if you just do... Oh, actually, that did work. I was going to say, just the command Steam should tell you, like, the immediate thing. Slope too steep. If we smooth this out, I'll put the arborist up on, like, a ledge up here. And we get that going to start getting trees in there, because those take a while to get up and going and are good. We've got the apiary, the pottery, the weaver, the candle shop, the soap shop, the cold charcoal kiln. We're not ready for any of that. You know, a lot of those have requirements. I think we need more storage for some of these things. Yeah, the wagon shop. And then the vault. So we can go down here. We have this production stuff here. And I will once again hit the wrong button. Actually, you don't make anyone unhappy, so we'll put it right there for right now. So as that wagon shop will open up more stuff. So amenities-wise, the trading post can be really good. This school can be really good. We don't have the money for the school yet, or any of these other things for that matter. So it's going to be probably the trading post. Ah, slope too steep. Okay, well we can fix that. That's going to be a thing we're going to be dealing with a lot, is just seeing that slope too steep, slope too steep. Okay, so temporarily, we'll go to our workers. And get a ton of people available to work on stuff. That way they could bang on all these rocks and trees and all that. Now, we do have a lot of stuff. If we get the trading post, it would be probably worth our effort to start getting, like, the coal and all that set up. Because with all that, there is a pretty good chance we would be able to, so with all that, there'd be a pretty good chance that we would actually be able to take some of those materials, and even if I don't use it for my own purposes, I could probably turn around and sell it. Meanwhile, I'm going to tell them to explore out in the fringes over here. And we don't want to go farther than that because of the raider camp. Okay, so overall, making progress on the field. Later on, we'll want to switch up the crops more than we have been. If there is a crop that gives something like 12 or 14% fertility per... When I say crop, you don't actually get food out of it. But the idea is it's a thing you grow to massively improve the fertility of the soil. But effectively, it's a lot of labor that doesn't give you something to eat immediately. So much breaking those rocks. Okay, sorry about that. Alright. Checking one thing real fast. Okay. Oh, we didn't actually get the harvest off of it. It's fine, we still got 9 months of food. That's interesting. Hostile bands of raiders have spotted roaming the outskirts of your land. Be prepared in case they attack your settlements. Look, man, I am not ready for that problem. You're gonna have to just go ahead and queue up, and we'll get you on the calendar sometime in 30 years. Oh, that reminds me. I almost forgot something really important. Where is the Fletcher? There's the tannery, there's the cobbler. Okay. So Fletcher's one of those industries that people don't mind having right here next to them. So we'll put the Fletcher right there. So we'll need the Fletcher. Let me guess. Yeah, we made the radius bigger. And as of doing that, and now put those eggs back in there. And with those eggs back in there, the raider camp is able to attack you again. Yeah, there's the eggs and all that way out here. Like, there's some good stuff way out here, but that's probably too far for them to forage and be worth my while. Okay. I'm gonna have to get a military able to deal with that. Alright, so we got the Fletcher going. Let's check on the other things we'll need. So we got pottery, which is clay. That's the more advanced stuff. We got the tannery, which will actually put those hides to use. The tannery is one of those buildings that if we put it... Yeah. If I put it close to the houses, they'll get mad about it. Put it there and leave us open spot here for building around there. Then we can go over here to the cobbler. Okay, and this will be another spot we need to level out the terrain again. I could try not going too far so I don't damage the water. Okay, so we got all our firewood. Pretty close to out of basic wood, unfortunately. Remove you as a priority. Remove you as a priority. Remove you as a priority. And thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so what should happen is the farmer should come over here and they'll just work the field. And ultimately what that does is it reduces the rockiness and the weeds. But this is going to take them a hot minute to do that. And the reason we got these going is I needed to make sure... Oh, wait, that's right. We're going to build over here the trading post. Still too steep. I'm gonna have so much leveling to do to try and get this all sorted. Alright. Resources-wise, Yeah, we'll need the work camp. And that requires a stockyard and a wagon shop. We got the wagon shop. Okay, so we got the stockyard and the wagon shop's being built right there. So with that, I'll be able to get the work camp. And the work camp is where I've been having the laborers just run around. You could say, hey, people, go work on this spot, clearing it of its resources. And you can even have where it goes, okay, plant the trees as you're done here as well. Alright, so we're getting close to having our population's housing maxed out. Okay, slope too steep on both of those still. Pretty much what we're doing is just popping around trying to make the ground flat enough to build on. Because the whole area is just really rough. How's our workforce? We got plenty of spare people. We're going to start getting them assigned to some jobs. Okay, so there's the wagon shop is now available. So with that, we can get the work camp. So let's go ahead and do that. So work camp. Then we get that built, we'll go ahead and tell them to, like, plant a forest, whatever. I mean, actually, they can't do that. We need more research before they can do that, but that's fine. We'll make that progress. We'll get it to be where we can upgrade to a forestry. Once we get a couple more houses, we should be able to start looking into upgrading. So the upgrade requirements are I need 2 types of food, herbs, and like everything else should be fine. The 2 types of food will resolve itself relatively reasonably. Yeah, there we go. We knocked down the weed level about 30%, and the rockiness down a bit as well. Predators are attacking. I got a wolf from over here. So let's grab everyone nearby. Where'd the wolf go?
Yes?
Alright, wolf's dealt with. Okay. And the good news is we're getting more and more not dependent entirely on just hunting and such. Okay, up, and that slowed down time, so let's get time moving back at double time. Okay, so they finished trying to level that out again, which they are leveling it out. It's whether or not is it being leveled out enough. And it is. We can now fit that trading post where I wanted it. And your water is absolutely full, which is good. To upgrade you again, I need a giant mountain of money, so we don't need to worry about that for a while. That's a Fletcher building, that's a working camp, that's the tannery. Now, we are going to want to get walls up at some stage. What's new in 1.0? That would depend on what version you were looking at prior. I mean, they've continued to expand in the game the entire time going on, so, unfortunately, I can't answer that question in a meaningful capacity because I don't have context to what came before. Plus, I don't know all the details on the individual game and every specific change that happened. As much as I'd like to be able to answer the question. Okay, so we got 2 more houses coming in. Crops lost due to heat stress. That is just what's going to happen here. So what we could do to prevent that the next season is put you here. Put that down there. And as I mentioned, this is not a sustainable way I'm setting this up right now. That's interesting. It kind of like resized. We're just trying to slowly get that field sorted out. But on the plus side, we're getting lots of food now. Not really where we want to be, but we're getting there. Okay, so we got the work camp. So like you see, I can set this to be targeting an area. So let's target this area right here. Actually, I clicked on another building, so it dropped me having the selection. Yeah, so they'll cut down all the stuff in that area. They'll go through and get all the wood and stone they can. And that's a good way of having kind of like permanent people to clear, so as your laborers are running around carrying stuff, at least they're not fully allocated to just that. Okay, we got knowledge again. There was something I needed knowledge for. I gotta remember what it was. Oh, I was gonna go for the forestry, which is up here. So let's go ahead and get the thing that plants trees faster. Meanwhile, are you set up at a point now where I can start an orchard? You are not. Okay, so keep trying to level that out enough that we can get a orchard started up on that hill. We need the trees to grow in because wood is one of those things you're just going to be using forever. And you need to make sure you have a way to deal with that. I'm just going to allow that thing to be constructed again. Because they're still just pulling up the materials as able. Okay. You've got 2 people assigned to the planks. How many people do I have to spare? I have a bunch of people to spare. The concern is I'm not pulling in enough wood. And so I want to take off of that as less people gathering wood, so that's the whole thing. Yes, not having dedicated woodcutters, they are just going to obliterate the nearby forests. Unfortunately, until I have the forestry, they won't plant them again. Which is a problem. Yeah, so you got your 2 types of food. We do need more desirability here, and we need more herbs. Some of that desirability will come just as we build some of these things. The amenities here will help. The school is a big one once you can get that set up, because people who are educated work faster, and that's really big. Just unfortunately, that's going to take a while. Because right now we're making about 5 gold per year or whatever it is, which is not much. And all those things cost gold to keep operating. And I've learned very much in the past, it can be very hard to keep your gold in a positive. Your military is very expensive to operate. So the gold ends up being a hard limiter on that one. Yeah, so we'll still be getting a good chunk of crops out of that. And there's another drought. All the time. It's almost like we're in an arid location. Okay. We will ultimately need the vault as well, but that's locked behind iron. This trade post will end up being a big thing for that. When we get the trade post built, what I can end up using the trade post for is whenever I get a surplus of something, I can potentially trade that away for cash, and influx my economy with that. And if I can't do that, I can usually also buy things that I'm short on. Let's say we can't start getting the arborist set up. Not quite. Really close, though. Yeah, so you'll notice I'm trading this back and forth. We're slowly bringing down the terrain and all that. There's also an argument saying like leveling out the terrain up top for defensive positions and whatever, but right now I could see putting like a scouting post up here to survey the area, but probably not worrying about too much. Also interesting because I haven't really left myself a whole lot of area for building defensive positions, unfortunately. So I can make palisades if we can get the spare wood. Right now, that's not going to happen. Yeah, the trees will grow back, but I don't have the ability to plant them yet. And this tile also means I don't have a ton of woods to work with. Oh, the game has music? Do I have it just way too quiet? And bump that up. There we go. It's decent music. Now level that down a bit. And then we'll level it back over here again. But as you can imagine, trying to like completely flatten a mountain while you can do a lot of that. So the way the flattening tool actually works is it kind of averages things out. Building a new... Yeah, I literally want to build a new school. You need 150 gold, though, so pay your taxes. But yeah, it like averages it out. So if, for example, I built it in this area, it'll lower a bunch of that down to about what's halfway. There is some math finagling that you can, through like clever approach. I could choose most of this on the higher area to flatten that out, and then I could just scooch it slightly over to just have like one little line that it brings up. And it will gradually bring more of it up than not, just the way the averaging and all that kind of works. It was so eerily quiet most of the time. I was wondering if that was intentional because the hostile, faraway environment. Nope. Oh, we got predators attacking. Oh yeah, so we got a bear just wrecked one of our people. Well, and bears can be tough to get until you got archers.
Done.
Because they'll also run away.
Hmm?
Nice. We did manage to get the bear. We did lose someone doing it. Or will lose someone doing it because I don't have a healer to save them. So we did lose 2 people to the bear, unfortunately. This does mean I have a new priority. Amenities. Graveyard. Plunk a graveyard on the other side of the business district. And unfortunately, I got my hunter. Bears are annoying? Yeah. You can get it to the point where you start having more wall coverage and archers and all that to deal with them, but that's mid to late game. Early game, they just come after you. This kind of terraforming and surviving Mards, where even the tiniest difference of elevation could be impossible to build on. So it's flattening the terrain to start whatever elevation. Yeah, this one's not too bad. You end up putting a lookout towers to protect your hunting areas to deal with them. Yeah, it's basically what you end up doing is making it so you've got ways to deal with your bears. Where are you going? Oh, you're gathering the carcass of the deer that the hunter killed when the bear jumped them. Combat settings? Oh, highlight raiders and all that. You have a villager who is gravely wounded. They're gonna die unless you take him to a healer. Well, I don't have that fandangled healer technology yet, so, you know, maybe don't get hurt. Alright, we got a villager who's gotten dysentery. Alright. Let's see. So you have to keep bears away from hunting areas, or they will eat the game animals you want to hunt? Not so much that. You keep the bears away from your hunting areas, because they will eat your hunters. Which is honestly significantly worse than if they ate the things you're trying to hunt. In quite a few ways, actually. Alright, so we can go and correct this one. So I can hopefully do this, and then this. Yeah, it's a good reason too. Yeah. Nah, wolves and bears now will attack. Yeah, and you want the school. I still need more money, though. Wood is becoming a real problem. Okay, we gain more knowledge. So next knowledge point is going into the forestry so we can plant trees. The Fletcher needs to be replaced. They may have died. I can't imagine what happened. You also got to keep the deer and boars away from your farm fields, otherwise they'll eat your food. Yep. You can build fences and all that to keep the deer and all that out, but yeah. Okay, so we got deer over there as well. And it is worth having more hunters than you necessarily need. Low-key, before you actually have military, the hunters do a pretty good job of substituting for a military. Trying to decide where I want to build this one, because it's all steep hills everywhere around here. Okay. So we got the Fletcher done. We got the tannery done. They're working on that. I don't even remember where the cobbler... New villager has immigrated. Nice. It is the same as before. We're in winter. All farmers unassigned. Meanwhile, let's try seeing we can't build the arborist building again. That's some wild terrain. So roads here. Let's clean this up. There's also a limit on how much a building can flex around, so it won't like change the terrain to the point that the building's no longer viable. So we're try and level this thing out because it's like weirdly sideways roads here. And that's because we're leveling basically a mound to make room for that. I'm pretty close to being able to actually build the school, which is good news. We've almost got the trading post online. Is the cobbler over here somewhere? There's a tannery. Where did I put the cobbler? Did I actually not build the cobbler? That's a possibility. I think I meant to put it here somewhere. It just didn't happen at the time because of materials. Or terrain not being flat. Alright, so that gets us the cobbler. So next up on the list is the basket shop. We don't have the reeds. So the compost ends up being very important. I forgot about this. The compost is a very important building. But, understandably, your entire place really is not a fan of being anywhere near the compost. For some reason or another. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Will you show me where we have clay? Yeah, and there's apparently a raider camp over here somewhere as well. This is warning me about the raider camp. Alright, so let's see here. We've got the sand pit. That will give us sand. I'm not worried about that yet. We got the apiary, which will boost the production of farms. We'll figure that out in a moment, because I am going to want to make sure to have room for fencing around there. So I don't want to build the apiary right there. We got the pottery building requires clay. The weaver requires flax, which we're not making yet. The candle requires the bees. The soap place requires herbs and tallow. The charcoal kiln we're not ready for yet, so we're good on that. Defenses-wise, we can make a barracks when we got some more money. That'd be where we get our first actual military people. That's going to take a little while. You are missing ammunition. Well, I do have a Fletcher already working on it. Meanwhile, let's get your spot. Signed way over there. So you're going to have to hike. Actually, you might be able to find not as bad. Yeah, you can just go right there. That's still a jaunt, but we can get that all sorted. I want to say, can't you move buildings in this game relatively easy? I can't remember. I guess not. It's fine. You can move where their target is, and they will have travel time, which is certainly not the greatest. Okay. So with this, I should be able to go here to food storage. Or not storage, food. And now it is too steep of a slope. Love to see it. Just keep smoothing out. You do not have a well nearby. So we're gonna have to get that going. And unfortunately, there's not really a good place for a well nearby. You're just gonna have to take what you can get from that little well there. Okay. And we're just starting to get the first, like, where they need waste removed. So that's not quite done. Let's go to the sawmill. Bump up the people working at the sawmill. How are we doing labor-wise? Still got 8 people free. I am not going to have that many people free. Well, that's unfortunate. 2 off the sawmill, 2 on there. Okay, we got more research. So there is the forestry. So with that, we can go to you. And we need a bunch of materials to upgrade. At which point, they will let me plant that. That's going to require clay and bricks, which I missed that part. I know you need a graveyard. It is on the to-do list. So I've seen no clay to speak of. I've got gold. You want gold or iron or something like that, I can help you out. But you want clay, you are on your own. So when the trade post gets there, we're probably going to have to just trade for that. Building does not have a clean water source. Build a well nearby. Okay, I can build a well right next to the lake. That's, you know, right there. It's fine. I'll only judge you a lot. Okay. So they're doing their best to keep up with the wood and everything else. And how are we doing right now? So you're getting kind of the limit on what you got in range here. So let's scooch on up a little bit more. Keep clearing what little bit of forest we got over there. Meanwhile, let's try again for the arborist. Still slope too steep. Building needs more workers. The cobbler. Okay, so I gotta free people up, so we're gonna take 2 of our construction people off their tasks. They immediately got gobbled up by other services. Okay. Yeah, so we're basically pretty much... Oh, right, I actually need someone to work at the trade post so I can move stuff to and from it. Yeah, so right now we're actually hurting from a lack of people to work on things. So this is where we're going to start pointing out where I mentioned I don't actually need this many farmers. We're going to cut down the number of farmers we have here by half. They should still be able to get that work done. But we need more people. You can work here, because I need that. Alright, so what we can actually do is... We've got our first trader coming in. And then what we can do is we can see what they've got. And what they'll buy from us. So... There's the buy and the sell here. And so you can get the items here, and they'll tell me how much they have in their inventory and how much they're willing to buy. So all these down here, like basket, gold, soap, she would buy those. But as far as like all the other stuff we could buy from her, we're not doing that right now. I don't have anything she wants to spare, so that first trade is going to be a no-go. On the good news is we do have just about enough to get our school online. Put right smack in the middle of town, which will boost the desirability of the surrounding area enough we can probably upgrade those houses. And then plus, as people get educated, they work harder, yada yada. They live longer, all those things. Education is extremely powerful in all of these games. Yeah, so they're just working the field right now, cleaning it up. I've got 7 months worth of food on standby. Planks were struggling. I just need more workers. Okay. And someday they'll actually build that that cemetery so the corpses we have laying around out here just rotting for literal months can be buried. Oh cool, we have people arriving to immigrate. And I'm looking at the number of them. I do not have that many homes. Also, I haven't really figured out where I'm building my next block of homes. Because industry's over here, and they don't want to live near that. 14! Okay, I got room for 4 of you. Do the 10 of you mind sleeping in the dirt? Welcome aboard. Okay, pause that real fast. Alright, so where that was going to be an arborist? That's not an arborist anymore. That is a new block of homes because... they're still too steep. So we got one home over there. And we can bump you back up to 4. And that gives us 20 free laborers to have running around. I am going to go back to this farm and reassign the 8 to it. We're also going to need to go to you and have 2 more here. Is the work camp maxed out? The work camp is maxed out. And we get 5 wood to 1 stone. Basically eliminated all the forest is gone. So we're gonna move it over here. Just cut it all down. Cut it all down. Every last bit of it. Get it all out of here. We took on an ambitious number of people. And we are going to pay for it. Meanwhile, you can go up here. Actually, start being smart about this terrain leveling. I'm going to grab this road. It's going to take time to level that all out. The big issue is I now have 10 homeless people. And I need wood. And lots of it. And you're just about to get the last of the wood so you can start getting all the waste out of people's homes. They're still clearing all the stone from everywhere. How are we doing on storage? I have not been paying attention to this. Storage-wise, we're not using that much, so we're okay. The graveyard's almost done, which is good news. Because for right now, it'll be okay if they're homeless, but when winter rolls around, they'll die of exposure if we don't get ahead of that. Alright. Got another block of homes going in over there. Yeah, so I didn't plan my layout very well because we're kind of wedged between, you know, a mountain range up here. This area down here is not too bad to build across. We got another big mountain over there. Okay, so the graveyard is built. So that's one project done for now. They're trying to level that all out so we can hopefully get the arborist up someday. Oh, I still don't have clay. Okay. I know there's a camp over here because we got warned when we started building that we're building close to a camp. Okay, so we'll try and also have someone scout out, see if we can't find clay, because that's hurting us pretty bad. Unfortunately, it's looking like no matter where the clay is, I'm going to have to go on, build it like way out on the moon. And there are people schlep across. Salvage. Sure. That could potentially give us some goods. Lots and lots of sand. Hazelnut bushes. So prioritize fixing that with the last 2 wood, because I'm going to need that done. What about you? We can probably bump it up to 8 builders. Cool. So with that, we can get that done. That'll get someone collecting this poop before everyone starts getting sick from the fact they're sitting in their own leavings. just vaguely medieval, colonial, whatever time frame things. All right. All right, so with that, they'll start collecting manure from the households, and they'll bring that there, and they'll compost it to then make it into fertilizer for the fields. Now we're just basically waiting on wood for these houses, which is getting really, really concerning. We're fast approaching winter, and I still don't have them. Let's go ahead and tell them to prioritize this block of houses. Hope we can get that done. Meanwhile, field's looking better. We were at 88% weeds. We've knocked that down. The rockiness is getting down as well. The fertility is still terrible. Once we get the rockiness and the weeds mostly knocked out, I'll start mixing in the thing where we get the higher soil fertility. Now, one thing I'm noticing is our food, not surprisingly adding about 25% more people into our town, is going to run out way faster than it was before. So, you know, that's certainly great. A raider camp has attacked one of my villagers.
Work to be done?
Okay, so we got a raider camp there. All right. That's going to be really rough to deal with. I need to get the armory up. Cool, we got our houses sorted. We prioritized it, and those are done. Let's see now if it'll actually let me make the arborist. Ooh. I actually wanted it here. Ah, I see. So it includes this tile over here. We can level that out. And we're slowly getting that all sorted out. Yeah, so it's going to be the clay that's going to be the big one. And that's probably something I'm going to have to trade for. Okay. Got 7 laborers. We got sand here, iron ore. That'll be a big thing, is maybe our next knowledge point... Actually, do I have a knowledge point sitting on standby? No. Maybe our next knowledge point, what we can do with that, is we can get mining going. So we could start pulling up ore, and I could potentially trade away the ore for money. It wouldn't be the best way of doing it, but it's something I've got in a very significant abundance that actually has some value. Because I got iron ore everywhere. We've almost got that rock done. But then once I get the arborist built, I'll start leveling out this field to make it a little less cursed. Are iron bars worth more? Yes. I would just need to be able to get to the point of making iron bars, which we'll get there. But it's going to take a little bit more work to get to the point where we have iron bars. Yeah, so you need meat and fish. Oh, it's probably because it's considered winter. I was about to be like, I don't have a fish icon. Alright. Nothing for you to do in range. You have depleted the entire area of trees. There's some trees over there. We are going to be in some serious trouble soon, tree-wise. Where's that raider camp? It's way up there. We're going to be a little bit cheeky with this, I think. We're going to start chopping down this whole forest up here. Alright. Because I got to keep that wood coming in so I can keep having firewood be produced. And then we need planks for building and a whole bunch of other stuff. So once that's built, I could probably get the arborist here. And with the arborist, then I can start planting trees on whatever around here I can make happen. Okay, arborist. You need clay. It's fine. We'll get there. Meanwhile, let's make this field look less cursed. Okay. That should make it all level out. Alright, so we got all that happening, we got our spare labor, we're making more money. I desperately need clay, and there's no clay to be found. Is there an easy way to check the map for clay? I think there was. I want to say... That's the overlay controls. Here we are. There is literally no clay that we have discovered on the map whatsoever. Excellent. Okay, so there's literally no clay at all. So we'll have to trade for it. But that's one of the things that's supposed to make this tile hard, is clay is just not readily available. So set exploration targets way out here on the periphery up here. We won't do any more on that side because of the raiders in the way. You haven't explored this side yet. It does look like you had a second cart down here somewhere that we could salvage, because there is a possibility I'd get goodies from that. Alright, so once we get another round of money, we're going to be building our first military, because I'm going to have to get rid of these raiders. That's the only way I'm going to be able to make progress in getting stuff sorted out there. Okay. Got deep stone deposit, all that goodies. You're cutting down the forest. And you were the one who needed to be upgraded? Yeah, you also need clay. That's rough. Alright, so the immediate concerns we have is I've got to make clay happen. That's just how it be. Most likely that's going to be a trader showing up, finding something to dump on them, and then, you know, using that. We are making shoes, but I don't think we're making enough shoes and all that to really sell. Yeah, no, I don't have nearly enough of any of these things to really sell. Like, I got food, but I vaguely recall food not being particularly valuable to trade, which makes sense, because at this time period, the person would buy the food from you, get a block away, and it'd all be rotten, because there's just not many things to help food keep. I don't have a good use for that yet. The bakery can be once we get our farms up more. So resources. So we got all of the basic resources being produced except for baskets because there's nowhere for that. Okay, here we go. So for research, let's get mining unlocked. So we can go to resources now. We got the work camp. We don't have a place to put the clay pit. We can get an iron mine. There's a deep iron deposit. I believe with a deep iron deposit, you can't just put a regular iron mine. Oh, you can. But it's right by a raider camp. Yeah, so you can see all the places that have iron. It's freaking everywhere. Alright, well I guess they get to live straight across from, like, literally we have homes on iron and coal. Hold up, that didn't say it penalized. Yeah, so that says as a really severe desirability penalty. That's not actually showing the desirability penalty. So we got gold. We have raiders approaching. Alright, we knew this was coming. Okay, so the way I'm going to deal with these first raiders, and we're hoping we got enough people for it, is I'm going to grab you.
Anything?
You're one of my hunters. We're going to find my other hunter real fast.
What is
grab
it?
You.
Yes?
You're out of arrows? I need you to not be out of arrows. Alright, so you're gonna start running up that mountain.
Need anything?
You're gonna restock. Okay, you got your arrows. Oh, they're already here. That is not what I was hoping for. Okay. It looks like it's just a couple, though.
I?
Fight! Oh, they also are full of archers. Well... And you ran out of arrows immediately. This is what we call real bad news. Because apparently I sent one with only one arrow. They killed the one guy. They sent the thief into retreat. But yeah, no, that's definitely worse than the first raid we had in the last time. Okay, so rally everyone.
What is it?
And we're just gonna swarm them with numbers. Okay, we did repel the attack. We did lose one of our hunters, though. So I guess the cheese that was having like 2 or 3 hunters just take out entire squads by just having the range advantage. That seems to be like it might just not be a thing anymore. Because this poor guy got blasted. Okay, so we killed 5 of the 6 raiders. I also have a trader here. Okay, so the person trading, they are offering clay bricks for 9 apiece. They are willing to buy stone at 9 apiece. They also are willing to buy clothes, but I'm not making clothes. What did I have that needed the clay bricks? It wasn't the school. It was something I wanted to build. That clay... Oh, it was the... No, it wasn't the main building. There was something I needed that was clay bricks. It's not the arborist. Oh, it was the forestry. Ah, you need 90? Holy crap. What you found is that with archery, much like real life, it's a numbers game. Gotta have a lot of archers. Pretty much the best thing ever. Don't have many, they'll instantly get overrun and slapped. Yeah. Now, it used to be a thing you could just run around with like 2 or 3 hunters and just pick at people, and because your hunters would run faster than they could run in their armor, you just fire a couple of volleys and run off and fire a couple of volleys and just cheese your way through, because it didn't really give the enemy much ranged until a decent ways in. So it looks like they learned their lesson from that and opted to change that. Which I think is actually pretty reasonable. I really want you to have just had just regular old clay. Because right now that's a real hard blocker for me. How's our field doing? Looking pretty good. Okay, in the meantime, what else can we work on? So the apiary would give me honey and beeswax. It also boosts the production of the fields, I believe. I really wanted to spare space around here, but I think we'll just live with it for now. So for right now, I'll build 2 apiaries right there. We have the pottery place that requires clay. We need the weaver requires stuff. The candle shop will work once we got the apiaries up and running. The soap requires herbs, which I don't have. Yeah, and that was the hunter who went up there and then got wrecked. So get you replaced. The charcoal kiln. We probably wait on the charcoal kiln. And the reason I say that is with the charcoal kiln, I'm going to run into the problem where that's going to be even more taxing on my wood. If I had something I could do with the sand, we could potentially consider that. Alright, and you're really expensive, so we can't afford you. And all the other ones are expensive. Yeah, so pretty much where we're at is we're waiting till we can either locate clay somewhere on the map. We do have explorers we're sending out from time to time. I also have some wagons I'm going to be ransacking. Move that out farther. And we might get lucky and there might be some clay or clay brick in there. Yeah, so what happens is they'll collapse. If I get a healer, I can do that. But right now I can't do much with that. There's just not, I haven't seen any herbs on the map. We're in an arid tile, so there's very limited resources. That's the reason why we're struggling with so much with, like, the clay and the food and all that stuff. Like, our food is mostly okay for right now. But, until I find clay, we're gonna be in a rough spot. Do you know what the shield in the upper left toolbar represents, if you don't mind me asking? The shield in the upper left toolbar. Oh, this one? That shows your difficulty. Yeah, so we're on Trailblazer, which is the medium difficulty. So let's give you your map information. Yeah, so basically it's saying we start with okay-ish resources, okay-ish hunting and wildlife, some hostile forces and some healthcare advisory, but what it doesn't say is that icon under map size large is the type of map we're on, and we did choose what I believe is the hardest type of map. I could be wrong, there's also like a mountainous map, but we're in basically an arid highlands. So our fertility of our soil sucks. What's desirability? Yeah, so the fertility of the soil is just garbo everywhere around. There's like a patch of okay soil way over there. Still pretty bad. But it's mostly like yellow to red, where when you do like the idyllic or whatever, you'll have these deep green areas. And that just has to do like how much effort it makes to, you know, takes to make the soil not awful. That's gonna take some work. One of these days we're gonna get those stones done. I've got so much stone. Like, that's kind of the big thing is I'm hoping is, if we can get our tech tree far enough that I can get the stone walls, I look forward to being able to build stone walls everywhere, just having, like, stone for days. Alright, so we had something that I was going to build over there that I don't remember what was. Well, let's potentially build the charcoal kiln, but that would be too close or people would hate it. Defenses-wise, We can build the barracks, and you can see it gives an area coverage. And if you notice, if I build it up here, the lower lying areas, I get plus 18 damage for it being below me. It doesn't really boost the range versus over here. It's relatively even. Alright. How are we doing on workers, by the way? Worker stuff is all fine. Lost some crops to drought. And that's beginning to become a real issue just by the fact that, that's what I was afraid of. We need more tools, which requires iron. And we're working on that. Oh, did I actually get the iron mine started? I don't think I did. I think I was working on that and got distracted. Yeah, because, like, oh, there's a spot that has everything. Yeah, so right now, while we're waiting to be able to build the arborist, we get the iron mine hooked up. You thought it had to do with defense? Curious if there was combat, but the barracks is the answer to that. Yeah, no, there is definitely combat, and you will get up to the point where they'll actually bring in siege equipment like catapults. That's pretty late game stuff. It can be pretty dire, the combat in the game. We're not in a great place because until I have the clay to make the forestry, I can't plant more trees. They will grow back on their own, but very slowly. We will most likely completely outpace it unless I can get that sorted. Because we are just depleting one wooded area after another after another. Where is that cart that was down here? I'm going to prioritize you two. Because those can have some really good goodies and we're hurting for it. All right. Keep building more and more roads around here and all that. Okay. The population is continuing to climb. We are going into this winter with, like, no food. I really need... Okay, they're harvesting it. Okay. I was getting a little panicked there. That I'm like, why does it... Oh, right, that's the estimated yield. Now it's in there. That's misreading that. I was like, why are they not getting the food? We need the food. The food is good. Because honestly, that one field is keeping us alive. Whenever that field finally takes disease, where I gotta switch my harvest, it's gonna hurt real bad. Yeah, villagers are missing tools. Alright, so the good news is we now have iron ore happening. There is 6,868 iron ore down there. So worst case, that's something I could potentially trade. Maybe you can farm more food and sell it to the resource you need? You can. We're still trying to get our farm set up because everything's covered with giant rocks. I could have made very small, like much smaller fields that would have just been done by now. But I'm trying to set up for the future. And it's just taking them forever. Like, we have so much stone. I have no idea what person prioritizes those. Because it should have the spare laborers. Yeah, I got 10 laborers running around. Oh good, they're actually out here exploring. Oh, run, 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 run. Okay. So there is another raider camp right up there. Impending blizzard. Don't like it. Alright, in the meantime, we could go ahead and take these icons off the map. I heard you can move blueberry bushes? Was that this game? Also hide the deer for now. Okay, so we got 6 months worth of food. You're continuing to explore. Yeah, only blueberry bushes, though? I don't remember. Come on, find clay. We're finding more and more hostile camps, which is not what I'm looking for. Your building storage is full. For the smokehouse. Why do you have 100-something smoked fish? And you aren't storing it? Okay, that's certainly a choice. Okay. Yeah, so we're just exploring farther and farther out. I mean, it's looking like we're going to probably eventually maybe find a clay pit way out in the middle of nowhere and have to have people schlep the whole way out there, bring back just a couple units of clay. Or have a trade person get here. Once we get a trade person that's got clay for sale, we like even if it's just dumping cash to make some clay happen, it's fine. It's honestly hard to figure out which one. Oh man, you need so much for the that's a saw pit. That's not the one I needed. Yeah, so we need 30 clay, 15 iron ingots to get that. We don't have a tech handy. Yeah, so we get forging next, because then we can go ahead and at least produce ingots. And we can start trading ingots for cash. And that'll let me fund my military as well as, you know, trade for whatever we need, which right now is desperately needing clay. Because clay is going to block us from getting pottery and a bunch of stuff. Okay, we got a building on fire. Hate to see it. Come on. Before it spreads, please. Cool. Handled. At least they're very warm. Exactly. What else can we do in the meantime? So I don't have the spare wood for that, and we can always just pull up the coal. That's the other thing, is we can make a coal mine. Cool, so we've got an iron mine and a coal mine. That's going to make the kiln just not necessary. We can make decorations to improve, because it's what do we need for the houses to improve? I just need, Oh, you need access to herbs? Alright, we got to figure this herb situation out. So we've got the foraging places. So you got berries and eggs. You have just berries. Can we get you someplace you could find... So that's berries and nuts. Berries. I mean, at least it's better than what we got. But there does appear to be another resource I just haven't seen. Herbs are an important one, too. I believe later on you can get an upgrade on your places. What was this game? Farthest Frontier. Villagers need tools, I am well aware. We honestly could probably make the tools happen ourselves, and then maybe even go into business of trading those away. Crops lost to disease, bean wilt. Alright, that was bound to happen. So there's a disease here we have, bean wilt. And it affects just beans and peas. So we're kind of already committed for this one. We could probably get rid of this processing of the field and that. We need something that isn't beans or peas. And it would love to have been something that we could have a positive on the fertility of the soil. But that ain't gonna happen. So Elfie's like, I what now? No, thank you. So let's go ahead and we're going to plant some carrots. Apparently, yes, they're pretty frost tolerant, not very heat tolerant. So we'll do the carrots at the end of the season. But what we need to do is you are going to have to remove the beans and peas from the schedule until the disease goes down, because as you can see, the infestation's getting worse. And it will continue to get worse and worse. We're already planted this, so very clearly I don't want to rip out my crops middle of the season to just lose them. You're just kind of enduring what we got. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try and mix this up a bit. I'm going to go ahead and put down this, which gives us +3 fertility to the soil. And then when we grow the carrots, it's -3, so that should be a wash. Doesn't leave me time to process the stuff, unfortunately. Yeah, it's -3, -3. Did I get something that's not quite as harsh? That's -4. Yeah, so right now, that's going to be hard. Just one harvest is going to be hard. All right, we got a new thing. Right now, we'll set the schedule up. We're probably in trouble here because of that bean wilt. And if I ignore the bean wilt, it'll just make my yields lower and lower till it hits a peak on how bad it gets, but it's pretty bad. Okay. So you've got tools I can buy for 70 a pop. I can apparently sell you coal for 6 a pop. You got weapons I can buy. So you'll buy soap, candles, pottery. Yeah, and soap requires the other stuff. Gold, or you'll buy a 10 each, which is selling well below. Beer and pottery and soap dot. Candles, I think we can make happen. That might be something to look into. So I don't think I could do much with her yet. Yeah, because you require herbs for the soap. Where were the candles at? I thought they were up here. Candle shop. Yeah, so it's just wax and wood. Also requires clay to build. Okay, we have finished working an area. There's no more goods in this area. That is the hunting cabin. So we have eradicated all of the deer in that area. That's definitely good for us. Certainly not something that's going to cause us more problems than we already have. Oh, they're actually getting this field made. We have finally hit the point of a second field being worked on. Which will be just in time, because then we can turn around and start growing something else there. Alright, got more knowledge. Okay, so next up is the forge. Because with the forge, I could turn around over here. Foundry. That's going to require heavy tools. And that negatively affects desirability. Okay, so let's go over here. Flatten the terrain. And I can put the forge back here. We'll build a blacksmith. Can Thunder strike villagers? Villagers, I don't believe so. Houses, absolutely. Alright, so this is where we have with the farm. We definitely don't want them to have the full 16. So what I could probably do here is go to this farm. You're only allowed to have 6 people. And then when this one gets built, they'll also only be allowed to have 6 people. Because they do let you assign way more farmers than you need to get the job done. But yeah, you'll end up in the game wanting to do crop rotations and all that. That you find like a wheat, like you'll have like one season that you just kind of like let the field follow. You just process weeds or whatever, and just kind of let the field do its thing. To recover, and then you usually have like one that's like a higher fertility usage and then one's like a low, just to rotate the crops. It's just, there's a bunch of different things. You look at your crop rotation about making sure they need roughly the same soil, that you have a happy medium there, that you're processing to get the rockiness and the weeds down. The good news is once you get the rockiness down, it pretty much doesn't ever come back. Like once you've processed it, it's processed, you're good. But the weeds, depending on what you grow, will build up or go away or whatever. The other thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually build another mine because we have gold, so I'm literally going to build a gold mine because why would I not do that? Yep, and we're pulling up coal. Meanwhile, let's go in here real quick to our labor. Cut that back down to 4 builders. We got another trader here. So what do you want and what do you have? You want the same things I can't provide you and lumber. I could sell you smoked fish. You're gonna underpay me for it, but I can sell you for it. You will, on the other hand, give me the average price for coal. Oh, that's to buy. Yeah, this is selling up here, buying down there. So if we get the gold ore, they'll at least buy that, and if we get candles, they'll buy the candles. That said, they didn't have clay, did they? I'm pretty sure they didn't. No. Oh, I'm looking at the other person. Okay. Oh, you do have clay brick. No, you're willing to buy clay brick. So you're willing to buy medicine, crossbows, iron bars, so they would buy iron bars. You are willing to sell me soap, shoes, cheese, stone, and wood. At least that's something. And then if I had room for them, they would sell me animals. But you notice none of them have been asking for food. I want to say them taking food is either rare or doesn't happen, or they give you crap for it. Which makes sense. Again, loading up a whole bunch of carrots and then chucking it in your cart and trying to drive it across the wilderness for miles and miles to then try and trade it. You're just going to have moldy carrots on the other side, nothing to show for it. Okay. Now, another thing that could potentially happen here is we can get flax going and maybe start making clothing to sell. That said, chat, I need to use the restroom real fast, so I'm going to quickly do that, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes, and I'll see you all then. So, be back in a few. Alright, and we are back. Okay. So, what's going on? What is this game? How do I play? Alright. Right. This is the Desperately Seeking Clay, the game. Because we chose a map that the whole gimmick is it's deserty, it's terrible, and there's like no clay. It's Arizona, the map. I actually have no idea the clay situation in Arizona because why would I? I just know a lot of Arizona is desert. Man, the reality and like how much the clay holds you back is such a thing. So I need spare workers to be able to run out to continue exploring the map. We've almost got this second field online. If it gets going soon, we can probably get one harvest out of here. Anakin Skywalker's favorite map? No. It's Luke's favorite map. Don't do this. No, I don't. Okay. No, I have no wood. We're turning these ones away. I have no spare housing. All the stuff I need clay for I can't do. I'm gonna have to turn them away. Alright, so what we're gonna try and do here is all of this is terrible. Then go ahead and do this nonsense. $11 people. That'd be 3 houses. I have no wood though. I'm gonna have to turn them away. I don't want to turn them away. Weird that's showing up that way. It's weird that's showing up that way, but... Oh, and this one just became available. Alright, so we're gonna get all of our fields going. And I shouldn't build yet another field. But I'm going to. Because those will be our fields to take us all the way into, like, mid to late game. Because you could actually get a pretty substantial amount of food out of the fields. Meanwhile, let's go here. Alright, so let's look here. So we could drop you down to 4 workers. Drop you down to 4 workers. What I don't understand is that's... Oh, it's because 8 were already assigned to it. That's fine. Because I want to say each of those fields does not take that many workers to keep maintained. Honestly, that field getting done couldn't have come at a better time. With this taking the bean wilt, I was going to have to pull off of doing the beans on that field. And that was just going to absolutely wreck us. And right now, there's going to be neutral on fertility. Is there something? There was not one that I could get less. And though flax is really awful on fertility. You're really awful on fertility. You're pretty bad in fertility. Bean wilt sounds like an insult. Probably was at some point. We're gonna build like a coal mine directly across. Crops lost to animals. Okay. So, what's going to need to happen here is we are going to need to go to roads and fences. Stone fences. Okay. And we'll start with that, building a wall around it. In the meantime, look at our hunting cabins. How is the hunting for you here? It's appallingly bad. Well, it just so happens, right over here, I have deer that are eating my crops that need to go die in a fire, and I would like to eat those animals. So, you know, 2 problems solved with 1 murdering of deer. As they're continuing to eat a ton of my crops. And just running rampant on them. But then we can wall off this whole area. Not wall it off, it's fenced off. Walls provide actual protection against raiders. Fences do not really. They're like, build a school. I will, once you discover clay. Oh, good.
Need anything?
Ah, I see. The historical records got it wrong. It wasn't Typhoid Mary, it's Typhoid Maudie. Because we've got Maudie here has gotten typhoid. It's not a surprising mistake. I could see where you get that little thing. You don't hear the name Maudie very often, and it's very similar to Mary. The animals are just destroying that poor field. We do have a hunter that's taking care of them little by little, but it's fine. As we wall it off, the deer will be less and less of a problem. That's actually the reason I left the buffer here. The big negative is the beehives will need to move. Probably. We'll see. I'll try and just make it so we have it like walled off to except this section. If it does seem like the deer just work their way the whole way around to get our crops, then we'll deal with it. Alright, so pretty soon we're going to get our military people up. Once we have that, we might be able to start trying to do something about these raider camps. It's going to take work, though. So we're losing crops to drought, we're losing crops to animal. The good news is they're about to harvest. And when that happens, we'll end up chasing the deer out by just being there. So you way out here have typhoid. So start trying to flatten that terrain. Yeah, so you got 4 farmers going there. Yeah, it's weird that that one's not changing that to say 4 out of 8 or whatever. Let's also check the number of farmers we have. I don't have the spare. It's fine. Just do the best you can with what you got. I'm a little concerned that they're prioritizing the construction over the harvesting. Oh no, there they go. It wasn't quite time to harvest. Alright, well, that's fine. We're gonna get a bunch of food. We should be okay. Now, if we get this extra field set up here, I can just set up entirely for, you know, remove the rocks and weeds, get the thing that goes fertilizer, and just keep repeating that cycle until the season's, like, till it's in good shape. And then that becomes our primary field, and then we just rotate them out to get all the fields good. And our firewood is... Production halted, why? Oh, we do have enough firewood, it just hasn't been hauled out of there yet. That's fine. Yeah, we're low on laborers, which I'm already aware of. I'm gonna try and get that sorted out. And then hopefully here, we can get other stuff sorted. Are you not going to harvest that? What is your prioritization? Because the season's basically done. We can survive if they don't. But it is a little concerning that that's not getting its stuff figured out. I really could have used those 10 villagers. I'm trying to make room that I could make more stuff happen. But as you can see, I'm about to knock down another entire forest. I have to move on to the next spot. They can't fix that until we get clay. You can probably grab, once the season's done, grab a couple of our farmers and just send them scattering here and there just to see what we can find. You know, weirdly, they don't seem to be actually harvesting the field, and the season's done. We got next to nothing out of those fields, unfortunately. Yeah, so what should happen is as we, a villager has died. They have succumbed to typhoid. Well, on the plus side, that was the only person we had who had typhoid, so that's kind of run its course. Oh, do I not have enough laborers? Okay. Less people are going to be building then. That's deeply concerning, actually. We can go here. Take 2 of you off that for right now. Cool. Got the firewood splitter set up again. Alright. And you're stricken with typhoid. And they basically say I need soap and all that to help prevent that. And I don't have that because that requires herbs.
Hello.
So you're cutting wood planks. You know what? You're going to go check way down here for me. I can have you go
As
way...
you say.
Just beeline out to the moon. So you're just a laborer. That's fine. I've unselected you. Seeking shelter. Ah, because your warmth is plummeting.
Work to be done?
Alright. They got more ore. Lots of ore over here. They said, we're just trying to run around here, hoping desperately to find some clay. Just more sand and stone and deer.
Need something?
Yeah, you're still fine for a while. Oh, just gold. Okay. More deer. Eggs and deer. Wolves, wolves. Turn that back. Okay, so we got wolves over there.
Need
How you
something?
doing? Still okay? Yeah, so I'm just manually taking control and just running her around. More sand. Come on. Just one clay deposit. Oh. Mark that for salvaging for later. Yes, one clay deposit or a trader to show up with clay. Got more gold, got more gold. Sand, deer.
What is it?
Okay, so pretty soon she's gonna have to turn back because she's starting to get cold. I've had her on this giant journey across the world. And all she has to show for it is disappointment. More sand. Alright, so she's gonna head out. We did not locate any clay so far. Alright. We're low on builders, we're low on laborers. This field's almost done, then we can take more people off those assignments. Because, yeah, then they'll drop down to just needing 12 farmers. We still got you letting that field get sorted. We got that one getting sorted. Alright, so this field, we're going to have this field assigned to just be, you know, work the field. Get it good. Meanwhile, you're going to drop down to just 4 workers in those fields. There we go. You died of dysentery, or not dysentery, typhoid. Alright, in the meantime, just keep leveling this terrain out to try and get some more houses here. Because I'm going to need more people. That way free people up to get stuff done. Yeah, because we want to have 16 farmers. There we go. All of them have only a max of 4 farmers allowed, so any spare over that will get assigned other things. So that's good. And then they got clearing out all that area for more. And that should be more enough fields for growing stuff for a long time. How are we doing on our resources right now? Are we doing really, really good on gold and all that? I do have, like, gold as in cash. Gold ore, I don't have much. For the time being, let's go ahead and go to, transfer gold. Oh, I forgot. The gold can get transferred in almost instantly. Alright, have clay. Buddy, if you want a boatload of money, you bring me clay. You got herbs. Herbs aren't nothing. I can make soap with herbs, but it doesn't help me out in the immediate. So you'll take herbs either way at 2 apiece. It's not bad. You will buy stone. And for a good price. All things considered. I could be convinced. Keep in stock. So transfer items. Go ahead and bring like 200 stone over here as best you can. Because 11 per stone is well above market. So we could snag that. And you're trading that well below market. So we might be able to snag the herbs. Because the herbs are for soap. And the herbs are for upgrading the houses. And of course we immediately had something catch fire, so everyone's going to have to stop doing what they're doing. Oh yeah, give me that money. Meanwhile, we can buy herbs. There's even more. Yeah, basically, the game still runs. I have the screen up, right? Yeah. Basically, we're dumping as much stone as we can on the guy to get as much cash as we can, and we're using that to buy herbs in the interim. Okay, so I literally bought all of their herbs. He's got nothing left for me. I could buy weapons and medicine and all that, and pelts and meat. It's not really what we're looking for, and unfortunately doesn't have anything else. Okay, so good news is now we can take this where we got the herbs in stock. We can move those from the trading post to the town storage. And that should give me what I need to start upgrading a bunch of these houses pretty soon. We're going to have to add some decorations around here, which I've been putting off because they're waiting on the school area. Let's see. So we're going to need to go to decorations. And in the past, I've always done like these garden trials. It still has the same up arrow, so I'm just going to put like straight up plants. We got small shrubs, juniper bushes, low brush, tall brush, small garden. Interestingly, the small garden doesn't have a gold cost, but still shows a desirability up arrow. Okay. We're just going to go right here to boost the desirability of all the neighborhoods. That's going to use up a lot of planks. Alright. And a lot of stone. But that said, absolutely cash in as much as we can while we can. Because I'm sure the clay, whenever it arrives, is not going to be cheap either. Okay, another traveling merchant has arrived. Okay, second merchant. You're willing to buy gold ore, iron ore. None of these at great rates. Shoes at terrible rate. You are willing to sell me tools, iron, heavy tools. So, with that, let's check on the resources. So you would require heavy tools. So the foundry requires heavy tools and a lot of gold. But allows me to make ingots. We do have the foundry available now. So we are going to trade for those heavy tools while we're here. So heavy tools. I will take one of you. Which is 400 bucks gone. And you're selling tools at well below market. And we're out of those, so I'll snag those. Because of that, I'll be able to make gold bars, and those will be worth way more than this stuff is. So you depart in 26 days, so I got a little while. So you need pelts, you need meat and fish. So that's good news. We don't have the clay we've been desperately seeking, but that is going to make it so I can start making ingots. And with ingots, I can start taking all the surplus ingots and stashing those, and I've got more ore than I know what to do with on the tile. And so hopefully we can sit there and build out our refining stuff more and more, the blacksmithy and all that. And then we'll probably just have to trade for gold. Okay, so you're not here much longer. This is a city builder? Yes. You know, there, move those to the other area. Keep taking the stone. Give me the cash. And pretty soon we'll tell them to stop. Okay, this will be the last sale. So stop stocking this. Alright, because he's about to leave in like 3 seconds anyways, so... That's it, we did well. I managed to pack away almost 800 gold. So that's going to be really good for us. So hopefully whenever we have someone show up who's got clay, we can get that sorted. We can now also consider pursuing our defenses. So we've got our barracks. This doesn't really affect desirability one way or the other. It does have a pretty high gold cost. Yeah, you can put it around here. They give a pretty good defensive position for my main stuff. We'll go ahead and smooth that out. And we got our gold mine, we've got our iron mine, we got our coal mine. All that's going. We're working on upgrading our house. Well, we're working on getting what we will need to upgrade our houses. The wood is getting desperate. Okay, so you're gonna have to move that circle because you're about to run out of trees again. So camp's way over there on the edge. So there's your next forest to get rid of. You're getting pretty close to getting that field all closed off inside a wall. But yeah, no, it's a city builder that does a really good job. Like, you actually have crop rotations and everything that you deal with. So like this field, we've been growing beans, but now we're currently just trying to grow anything else because there's a disease that hurts beans in that soil. Oh, you have the bean one too? You suck. Okay, well, so with that one, this one apparently also got the bean disease in it. So we're gonna go ahead and do here. Probably the same thing we're doing on the other one. Is there a crop that can grow in that little window there? Yes. Okay, I'm going to embrace chaos. And we're still going to grow the one set of beans per cycle. And it's going to take penalties. Meanwhile, this one we're just processing the soil to make it good for being a field so we can get other stuff growing in there. Man, this desert tile having a drought every season is so rough. Can you move farms with other locations without infected ground? You can, but building a farm is a very significant process. It's not just you stamp it out 2 seconds later you got a farm. To give you an idea, building a house, somewhere in the area of like 40 labor. Building a full-size farm is somewhere in the area of 5,000 labor. So it's a very non-trivial task. So deep wells will give us more water, construction speed, steel surgical tools, hospital, paper press. Animal husbandry is now what we're looking for. Sustainable tree farming. So we can make our crops disease resistant. That's worth considering. What I'm looking for here, drought tolerance is worth considering. What I'm looking at here, increase the tax generated per home, is trying to see, I thought there was an upgrade where you could start making very small amounts of oh, I think it's just like literally you just upgrade the building there. So let's go ahead and start making our crops more disease tolerant. Because I believe the forging ones, when we get our next thing up here, which is going to be a lot of clay, yeah, we'll be able to cultivate stuff at the forger's hut directly. You know, not in big amounts, but just some. And then I could literally grow the herbs and that kind of stuff directly at the forging hut to work around the issue where we just don't really have much of it on the tile available. Are you actually getting that salvage done? No.
Hmm?
Oh, you're hunting. That's fair. Okay. So we've got them working as hard as we can. We don't have spare people to do a whole lot, unfortunately. But I think just taking its sweet time. It also reminds me we need to go here and transfer the heavy tools to the city. Put the stone back into storage for right now. So please stop bringing it over here. Okay. Yeah, they're gonna have to travel farther and farther to chop wood unless we can get this forestry online. We got most of what we need for this. One thing I can do is for right now, transfer the gold. We're gonna go and split it about 50-50. That way they could hopefully get that building online as well. Let me check the time. Alright, that said, chat, though, I'm a little past where I wanted to switch over games. So what's going to end up happening here is in just a minute, I'm going to be switching games over to Space Chef. This will be a sponsored segment, so I do really hope and appreciate that you'd hang out for it and all that stuff. Because devs have been kind enough to sponsor channel and all that. We're going to do at least 2 hours of it. If we're enjoying it more, we'll play more of it. If not, we can pop back. I do think we're going to be doing more Farthest Frontier probably tomorrow on stream. I had to check what day of the week it was. But we're going to go ahead and get over to that sponsored segment. So we'll get that going and all that. And I do, again, appreciate everyone who does hang out for it and all that stuff. I know, it's some people get weird about the sponsored thing, but it does help me keep doing this full time. So if you're watching over on YouTube, the stream will be jumping over to the next game in just a minute, but the stream will end on the YouTube side for a minute while I get the next VOD going and all that. For everyone over here on Twitch, it is just going to be a flipping games pretty quick that we shouldn't have a whole big thing about it. So give me 2 seconds to get that flipped over. I entered